Hey guys, welcome back. I hesitated to say polish freaks because a few people were offended by it. Well, I shouldn't say offended, they just hate it. So I don't know, tell me down below, do you guys hate that? I'm kind of liking it. I even thought of like getting Merc and stuff. Like that's how fun I thought it was. Anyway, let me know down below what you think about that. I can see how that can have like a negative connotation, but let me know down below because I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. I like it. Okay, so today I'm going to share with you the Essie Sk8 with Destiny collection. I'm excited about this one. It's from their Expressie line. Now, there's 10 polishes in this collection. I'm still waiting on one, so I'm just going to insert that one and talk about it briefly, and then I'll probably do a voiceover on that one. I will put this up as soon as I get that 10th one, and I'll just add it later because I'm just ready to get this done. I'm tired of waiting on it. I thought it was a 9-piece originally, and so I added it to my cart a little bit later, and it's just taking a while to get here. By the way, Amazon delivery with nail polish drives me crazy. They just like throw them in a box with a big bubble thing and they just tumble around and it's just kind of frustrating. I kind of hate ordering polish from there, but that's where I got them from this time because that's where they were available. They're also available at Ulta and I'm waiting to see if they will be available at Beyond Polish. There are a few standouts in here for sure. Okay, we're gonna get into that. Before I talk about that, I'm gonna talk about what's on my nails because I've had a lot of discussion about this on Instagram. This is Bikini Sotini. So I had an older bottle. I've had it for several years and I just discovered recently that mine was totally dried up, totally gone. And honestly, I hadn't even opened that bottle for a couple years because I just kind of gave up on it. The formula wasn't good. It was probably due to the fact that my bottle was a little bit older too. But the skinny brush was terrible and I just didn't like working with it. It wasn't my favorite. And I'm not even picky about formulas. So anyway, I went and got a new one and it has the wide brush. It applies like a dream, you guys. It is so good. So Beyond Polish does have it and I asked them specifically, does it have the wide brush? Because if you guys are gonna get a new fresh bottle of this, you're gonna wanna make sure it does have that wide brush. And they said for sure that they do. So you can get that there and know for sure that it does have the wide brush and you can use my code GOLARI10 to get a discount. Thought you guys would just wanna know that because it made me fall in love with this polish again and probably even more than I did earlier. So, I wanted to say I don't mind the angled brush. The Essie Expressie line has an angled brush and I have a video of the Expressie line when it first came out that kind of talks about what it's all about and I'll put a link to that down below. So the brush has a slight angle. I will say that I don't find their brushes to be consistent in this line. I don't know, it kind of drives me a little crazy. I can deal with it, but it drives me crazy. Some of them are really thick and you have to make sure to clean the brush off really well before you even apply it because so much polish is like in the brush. Some are cut weird and wonky, some have longer brush stems, bristles. Anyway, I don't know if you guys find that too, but with this line, it's just a little inconsistent, and so that is one thing that I really don't love. I did learn though that when I'm applying them, if I push them down a little bit and fan them out on that first coat, then they work a little bit better if they look like they're cut a little wonky. So just a little tip if you have a few polishes that have wonky brushes like that. Okay, let's talk about the polishes. I'm rambling on enough. So the first one we have is Daily Grind, and this is the one that I am kind of waiting on, but I'm going to insert the picture here. So I know it's a cream. I know it has yellow undertones and it even has more of a green undertone. It's a beautiful cream polish. Okay, so here we are applying Daily Grind. So I have to say the brush on this one was the worst out of all of them. It was really thick and I had a hard time making it really even at the bottom and you could just see a lot of brush strokes. But anyway, I was able to get it opaque in 2 coats. You might have to do 3 on this one depending on how you apply it, but I did have quite a bit on the brush when I did 2 coats. I do like this color though. I do think it's a little bit unique, and let's talk about those comparisons here. So I compared it to Rainwear Don't Care, and you can see next to that one that it really does have kind of green yellow undertones, and so it's a little bit different than that one. And then I compared it to Millennium Momentum, and that's another Expressie shade, and that one's darker than that and just kind of a beige. And then I also threw in there Boatloads of Love because that one's newer and a little bit taupe. I definitely think this one is unique though, and I liked it. This next one is Curbside Pick Me Up, and it's a beautiful bright yellow with a little hint of green, and that's what sets it apart from other yellows that Essie has in their line, which is kind of nice. It's got a really nice format. It's going to build up in 3 coats. That's pretty typical for a yellow, but it does go on nicely. My brush was a little bit thick on this one. So I felt like I maybe could have got away with 2, but I would definitely do 3, and that's like all yellows. But I really did like this one. I do like yellows that are a little bit more greenish than just like your primary yellow. So I did like that about it, and it's kind of bright and fun. So I did do 2 sets of comparisons so you guys could see what it's close to. I compared it to Essie Expressie Sk8, and that's more of a true yellow that you can see there. And then I compared it to Hey There, and that's a buttercream yellow. And then All Fun and Games was pretty close to Hey There, which you can see is maybe a touch lighter than that. Those are pretty similar, and they're both kind of buttercream yellows, and so they're not as bright and they don't have that green tint to them. And then the second set of comparisons, I did compare it to It's All Techno from China Glaze, and it was closest to that, but I wanted you to see that does have a touch more green, and it is similar though, so it's kind of that same feel. This is kind of just in between like your standard primary yellow and then one more green. And then I wanted you to see how compared to OPA, How Does Your Zen Garden Grow, and that's more green and cooler toned. And then Gelato I threw in there because I thought I might get asked, and that one's more of a light green. It has a lot of white in it, and so it's different. So I didn't really have anything like this. I didn't pick up the Essie Have a Ball collection. I couldn't find that last year. Sometimes I have a hard time finding Essie collections. I know you guys do too, so that's kind of frustrating at times, but I wasn't able to get that. So I know Brandy did, so she'll probably do a comparison to this in her video, so you can check that out because I know you guys will want to see that. I'm not sure how similar it is to that one. So if you did get that one and you were lucky enough to get that one, you can see how it compares to this one. So I really liked this one quite a bit. I think it will be fun as we get into summertime. And then we have Bear of Bad News. It's a bright orange polish, and it has a little bit of yellow undertones. It is a nice polish. I am not sure exactly what the exact consistency of this polish is supposed to be, because as this one was tumbling around in that Amazon box, the lid got loosened and it leaked a little bit, and so it was a little bit dried out. I did add thinner to it, and so it's a little better now, but I imagine that the real polish is going to have a great formula, because all of these polishes had a really great formula and they were pretty consistent. So mine does look a little bit thick as you watch me apply it, but that is just because of Amazon. I'll blame it on them. But anyway, I only did 1 set of comparisons to this because I did find a polish that was like super close, if not exact, and let's talk about that. Here you can see I compared it to Tangerine Teas from Essie, and that is almost exact, and so I didn't do any more. There's a ton of Essie oranges. In my last review, I think I did 4 comparisons for that orange in there from the new Swoon in the Lagoon collection, so you can go check those out if you want to see more oranges. And then I compared it to Strong at 1%, and that's a more muted orange. That's another Expressie that I wanted you to see the comparison for. And then Essie Soak Up the Sun is a little bit brighter, and it's not the same. So those are those comparisons. So lots of oranges. So you might be able to skip this one unless you really are loving the Expressie line. There's tons of oranges. So many. I tend to like the ones that are a little more pink tone. And then we have Keeping It Real. I love this one so much, you guys. I love these kind of pink mauve nudes, and this one's beautiful. So this has a really fantastic formula as well. It's going to be opaque in 2 coats. It's a little bit crelly-ish, but like maybe more cream. The formula is just really fantastic on this one. This one is a little more pink leaning than some of the others that Essie has, and they have a lot of these kind of pinky mauve shades. But whenever I do comparisons for these, they're getting really tricky. It's almost like doing comparisons for red. There's so many, there's only like minute differences. And just keep in mind that these differences I'm showing you are going to be slight. I just hope that helps you decide if you really need this one, because you might not, but I loved this one. So let's talk about those comparisons. I compared it to Ladylike, and I thought for sure it was going to be exactly like that one, but that one's darker and more purple. And then you've got that Glass Glow from OPI is even more purple and less brown than Ladylike. I also thought it was going to be pretty similar to Go Go Geisha, but that one's quite a bit lighter and it's more nude and less pink. And then I compared it to Just Grow With It, and that one's more mauve and darker, and Young Wild and Me is more pink and darker. And I added Daydrift Away just because that's a newer one from the Swoon and Lagoon collection, and that one's more peachy that you can see there. So I didn't compare it to Don't Bosin Over Me Around, but this one's pretty similar to that one. It's just darker. So it's like a darker version of Don't Bosin Over Me Around. And so I love it so much because I love that polish. And that one's kind of similar to Go Go Geisha, but they're a little bit lighter. So I loved this one a lot. And then we have the namesake of the collection. This is Sk8 with Destiny, and this is so beautiful. It's a bright periwinkle blue, but it does lean more purple than a lot of the Essies that they have. It is gorgeous. The formula is so good on this one. It's a little bit crelly and it just goes on so nicely in 2 coats. It just builds up great. I had kind of a really wonky brush on this one. It had like a weird angle in it. But even with that, it applied pretty good. I had to fan out my brush, like I mentioned before, pretty good. And I really enjoy this one a lot. And I do feel like it's a little different than what Essie has in their other lines too. So I'm going to talk about those differences here. So I compared it to You're Such a Budapest, and that one is more purple and it has a little bit more shimmer, but that one's pretty close. And then Can Pie OPI is more blue and has that more muted quality. And then I wanted to pull out Spring Into Action because it kind of reminded me of that, but that one's definitely more of a purple red tone, but it has the same kind of brightness that this Sk8 with Destiny has, which I really love. That Spring Into Action is from the new Nature Strong line, and I love that polish so much, you guys. I love that Nature Strong line. And then I compared it to Plant One On Me just because I thought you guys might want to ask. That's from a newer collection, and that one's muted and more purple. And then I compared it to Dreams Need Clarification, and that one's more blue and it's a shade darker. So Bikini Sotini is more blue as well, but it's kind of like the same idea of a polish. It's like a bright, has a lot of white, and then it has that punch of blue, whereas Sk8 with Destiny has a little bit more of a punch of purple. So I love it. And I'm actually wearing Bikini Sotini obviously right now, and I can see the difference. And so it's kind of like a purple version of Bikini Sotini, which I love. So I'm excited about this one. I think it's unique. Didn't really have anything like this one in my collection, so this one is pretty special. And then we have Just for Kicks, and this is a sage green polish, another sage green. There's so many. I don't want them to do too many. I'll get sick of it. But anyway, I loved it though. Still the same. It's beautiful. It has a beautiful formula, pretty consistent with that last one that we just talked about. It's a little bit crellish and it just builds up so nicely. It's a little bit muted and it is a little bit more blue leaning, which I really love. And I'm sure you just want to get into those comparisons. So let's talk about those now. I only did one set of comparisons just because it was kind of similar to these, and I've done so many other sage comparisons that you can go back and check those out. I have them on my Instagram page, and I have them in my last Swoon in the Lagoon video because there was a sage in that collection as well. Okay, so I compared it to Sage You Love Me from the Gel Couture line, and that one has a Crelly formula as well. It's a little bit lighter, but it's in that same color family. And then Belief in Yourself is definitely a more opaque formula. It just goes on totally opaque. It's like opaque in one coat, and it's a touch lighter than this one, but they're kind of similar. It's maybe a little more green, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but these are all a little close. The formulas are a little bit different. And then Maximilian Strauss Her is a touch lighter, but it's like really close to that one. I feel like it's just like maybe a dupe of this one. If you don't have Maximilian Strauss Her, they do have it newer in CVS that you can get if you don't have that polish anymore, because it used to be kind of hard to find, but now people are saying you can find it. Maybe this is a good option for you. I feel like it's very close to Maximilian Strauss Her. I never know if I've ever said that right, but that's how I always say it. So I'll let you decide if you get this one or not. There's so many sage greens. So many. This next one is Trick Click, and it's this beautiful purple leaning pink. The formula on this one is really fantastic too. It's going to build up so nicely in 2 coats. It's just really, really nice. I'm really excited about this one, and I'm going to tell you why. If you've been following me for a while, you know my love for Orly Frolic. It is so good. I've been trying to find something that's exact to that for a while. They came out with Enflowered in the Nature Strong line, and that's like the closest I've been able to find, but it wasn't exact. But this polish is almost exact to that, you guys. I think Frolic is maybe a touch darker and maybe a little more purple, but this is the closest one I've ever been able to find to that polish, and I'm super excited about it because you can't get Frolic anymore. There is something still a little special about Frolic and the formula, and it kind of looks a little plasticky. I don't know how to describe that, but their Electric Escape collection had that kind of feel too. It looks kind of plasticky on your nails. So it is missing a little bit of that quality, but the color is almost exactly the same. So I'm super happy because my bottles are getting kind of old and I just can't get it anymore. So if you like those kind of purple toned pinks, this is a good one to get, and so you probably should. if you really were trying to hunt down Orly Frolic. Let's look at those on the nail. So here is Frolic, and it's, like I said, the closest and maybe a touch darker, just a touch, but they're so close. And then Enflowered is a little bit lighter and a little more pink. So that was the one that I talked about that was pretty similar to Frolic, but this Trick Click is pretty much almost exact. And then Essie Dolled Up, oh, I love that polish. That one's more bright and a little more pink. And so that one's different too. Hopefully those comparisons are helpful, and I love this one so much. It might just look like a standard pink, but to me, I was super excited about it. And the next one is Streetwear in Terran. It's this beautiful green leaning teal. I feel like we've had a lot of teals this year, so I think you're gonna look forward to the comparisons that I have for this one. But this one really is beautiful. It's a little bit muted, and it has a really fantastic formula as well. It built up really nicely in 2 coats, probably almost 1, but I would do 2 coats for sure. I always do 2. And let's get right into those comps because I know that's what you're gonna want to see. So I compared it to Tell Me More, Tell Me More. That one's close, but it's slightly more blue. And then Stay Off the Lawn is more green and a little darker. And then Amazon, Amazoff has a different formula for sure, but it's kind of similar, but the formulas are different. And then Lose Sight of Reality is a little bit darker as well, but it's the same kind of feel, same kind of idea for a polish. And then Stripes and Cells is very close. And that is a very older polish. That one's super close. So maybe you love that one and you can't get it anymore. This might be a good option. And then In Plain View, I just wanted to put in there because I wanted you to see that those polishes are definitely more navy and they lean more blue instead of green. So I'll let you look at that and decide if you want to get this one, but it is a beautiful teal with a beautiful formula. And then we have Left on Shreddan. It's this beautiful, very muted navy with a little bit of purple in it. It's really, really pretty. So you're definitely going to be able to tell that it's a navy polish, and I really like that. I feel like this is a good polish to wear this time of year. It's not too dark and rich. It's just a little bit more grayed out. And in winter, I really like to wear muted tones, but I think this one's nice for winter to spring, and so this is a good one to wear. The formula is really nice on this one too. It builds up in 1 to 2 coats. I did 2 set of comparisons for this. I will mention I did not compare it to March in Uniform. I mostly compared them to Essie, and I wanted just to mention that one. That one's a little bit more purple and a little darker and rich and not as muted, so they are different. And let's talk about the other comparisons that I have. Infinity Cool is a touch darker and more navy. It is more muted like this one. Booties on Broadway is darker and rich, and then After School Boy Blazer is even darker and more rich. They just get darker, and that one looks almost black. And then I pulled out some of those more muted polishes just so you can see how compared to those. So I'm showing you Anchored Down, and that one's more muted and it looks more gray next to this, which is really interesting. And then OPI Less is Norse is closest, but that one definitely has more like a grungy purple look to it. And then You're a Natural is newer, and that one's more purple and lighter, and I wanted you to see how that compared. So there wasn't anything exactly like this one, and so I really enjoyed it quite a bit. I think I will probably pull it out this month or probably in March, just because I think it's a really nice blue. I'm kind of into blues right now. I feel like maybe this will be the year of blues. I feel like we've had some really good blues. We had a nice blue in the Swoon in Lagoon collection, Ripple Reflect, and then we have this blue, and I'm liking it. So last year was the year of greens, in my opinion. Maybe this year will be the year of blues. We'll have to wait and see. I liked this one. And the last one is All Ramped Up, and it's this beautiful eggplant. Is it eggplant? I really need to look up how to describe these. It's a purple with some red tones in it that's muted. And there's a lot of polishes like this. The formula on this is really, really good. It builds up in 2 coats, and it's really nice. I love these kind of polishes. They're fun to wear right now this time of year as well. And there's a lot of them though. So I will let you know what I did compare it to, just so you can see. This one definitely is more muted. Here are the comparisons, and I'm just gonna let you look at them here quickly. This one's darker and has a little more purple. They get a little more red as you go down the line, down to In the Lobby. And so I'm just gonna let you look at those so you can see, because they are slightly different, but really when it comes down to it, they're all very similar. And then this next set of comps, I compared it to Velvet Voyage. It's darker, it's not as muted, but I mean, these polishes are so dark, it's hard to tell those minute differences, especially in the pictures as well. But I wanted to let you know that it is very close to OPI Heart to Party, and that's why I like this one so much. It's maybe a little more muted than that. It kind of has a different formula. It has a more muted opaque formula, and OPI Heart to Party is more of a acrylyish, buildable, rich formula, but the colors are pretty close. And then OPI Wanna Wrap is in there as well. And so while there wasn't anything exact, there are a lot of polishes like this, and so I'll let you determine if this one is worth snagging. But I liked it too. Okay, I have quite a few more favorites in here than I really anticipated. I'm gonna put one down. I was gonna put this in here because it's a little muted, but I'm just gonna put it down because there's so many like that. These four are my favorites. Keeping it real, I've got the yellow, which is Curbside Pick Me Up, purpley periwinkle, which is Skate with Destiny, the namesake, and then this beautiful pink that I just fell in love with called Trick-click. Those are my favorites from the collection. I will say there are a few that are maybe a must-have for me, and if you like green toned yellows, I would say this, but I think these two, it's hard to say because pink is pretty popular, but this one's pretty special, at least in my view, because I love these kind of tones. But this is definitely worth picking up, this Skate with Destiny, just because I think it's a little different and it's bright and fun, and it will be perfect for spring. So hopefully this video was helpful, you guys. I'm sorry I had to do the voiceover for that one shade, but I just wanted to get this video up as soon as I could. Let me know your thoughts on this collection. I appreciate you guys subscribing and commenting. We will see you next time, Polish Freaks. I'm still gonna say it. Okay, we'll see ya. Bye.